ever run performance tests and end up with three different data sets you can't compare? That's exactly what happened to me with these K6 test runs. Today, let's solve this together using Grafana with a plugin called Infinity. Thanks to that, we can see this beautiful diagram and the data, which we can see the data of how many requests per second we were sending and what was the response and how many virtual users were there and so on. But so we have three different runs like that. So that's the problem. How can I compare three different graphs like that side by side? So this is the problem, because I want to create the leader score and have the ranking, what's the best run and how we improved over time. So how can we do this? So I thought, okay, I don't want to do this inside Excel. I want to do this inside Grafana. And I started to create a dashboard, which was to present this data in a nice way. So I took attempts to do this in a nice way. First of all, I needed to collect the evidence. So to collect the evidence from each run, I need to export it in a CSV format. So I can do something like that. I can go into view. I can then right click in here and click inspect and then data. This is showing me all the data that is being underneath this widget. So the time, the request, but it's not showing me responses and everything else. So I can click here and show series joined by time. So now I have all the data I wanted. I have time, requests, K6 views, and responses. So when I'm downloading this CSV, I should get the data in the CSV format. On the second monitor, I see that exactly like that. So all perfect. When I have three files like that, then I can now do this same export for all three test runs, and you will have three CSV files ready to compare. We'll create a reference widget in Grafana that holds all three datasets. The key is normalizing the timestamp so we can compare apples to apples. When we go to this dashboard, I created it like that. I needed a reference widget. This is probably like a tip, and it took me a while to make it. So this is the reference widget for reading and writing. And inside reading, I'm clicking the edit, and in here we can see I'm using data source of Infinity. You can add it inside here, connections, add new, not connections. You can add it into plugins and data inside the plugins, and then click Infinity. You shouldn't have any troubles to set it up. And then you can have multiple ways of handling your types, not only CSVs. Infinity is capable of JSON, GraphQL, HTML, and a lot of different types. And then parser, I'm not sure about that. You can take a look on this. Source, I want to do this in inline because I want this as a data like that, and format as a table. And as you can see here, this time is starting from 1st of January 2025. But in this instance, we had October 25th. So why is that? It's a trick because I want my widget to start from exactly the same time as every other data source. And I normalized it. Otherwise, all the data would be in three different places. So the data wouldn't be comparable. It wouldn't be comparing apples to apples. It will be, let's say, A would be on the very beginning of the widget, B would be on the middle, and the C would be at the end. So let's say there would be three different slices. So I wouldn't be able to compare this like that. And I couldn't make it based on virtual users because the virtual users are not linear. They are speeding up to 50, then they are holding on 50, and then they are going to 150, 200, and yeah, they are, let's say, a function. So it would be quite tricky, especially if the virtual user are rising and the RPS is dropping. It would be looking just weird. So I decided to base it on time, and this is the nicest way to present it. But okay, let's go back to CSV and how to. So this is the data. We already normalized it, and we have more or less the same amount of data. So it's all good. We then need to set what kind of we want to treat this data. What's the limit? What's the delimiter? How to skip the empty lines, and you can do sort of such tricks with your data when you need to. Then I can then select what columns I need. This is important. So I wanted time requests, case 6. So virtual users, I wanted to rename it to VU. I wanted to rename it to request and to time. And I wanted to them name exactly the same. And I have 3 data sources like that. So I have 3 queries, A, B, and C. And thanks to that, I can compare this data like this. So yeah, this is how I did it. And if we go back to the reading, this is our source of data of reading and writing. So we have already, let's say, our baseline, our template widget, which we can read it from. And inside Grafana, there's an option to create a widget, for instance, this virtual users, which is going to get the data from your different widget. So I wanted to source my data from the dashboard, from the widget of reading, and I wanted only to extract the virtual users because I didn't want to have this such complex widget. I wanted to have a very simple one. So as you can see inside Grafana, there's also transformations, it's another function, which you can transform your data after you already loaded the data. So in such case, I took the filters of fields by name, and then you can specify what type of column do you want to have. And thanks to that, you can actually show, you can indicate what kind of data you want. I could also click here, response time, and you can see response time that is being added to. But I don't want to have multiple data at the same widget. I want to have one set of data per one widget. And thanks to that, I can see virtual users, I can see requests, and then I can compare this side by side and also response time. And then thanks to that, I can have takeaways from each data and have really simple data, which is clean and ready to be analyzed. And the same situation applies to these widgets, which are the median and the max. So I want to have a median from requests. I want to have some function which will aggregate my requests, so I know what's the median per series. So for A, it's going to be 715, B is going to 732, and C is almost 2000. So this is a median for each series, and the maximum is what's the maximum value per widget, per series. So thanks to that, how I did it. Okay, so let's how I did it. It's exactly the same way, which is going to be data source of dashboard. I then point out, then I'm pointing the reading, which is like this, and I'm pointing this reference data. So thanks to that, I can then do some transformations because this level, this is exactly what I showed you in the requests, but I want to aggregate this. So so this widget is almost exactly the same as this widget, reading requests. But how is it different that it's showing the linear graph and this is showing some aggregation? This is simple. Inside transformations, there you can find also the same thing, which is going to be a request A, B, and C. In here, you can have various of options. You can have the calculation and choose the reducer function, which is going to be a median. You can also choose mean or max or min, and depending on that, it will change. So thanks to that, we can have some aggregation and build some really nice, really powerful dashboards to analyze our data in a visual form. And alike to the previous one, we have the for response time, for requests. We could also do the data. We could also aggregate things in for virtual users. Compare writing performance testing, and we can see the virtual users requests, response times, medians for requests, medians and maximums for response times, and have some proper analysis and have some conclusions out of these graphs. So we took 3 separate K6 test runs, normalized them in Grafana, and built a comparison dashboard. No Excel spreadsheets needed. Pretty cool, right? If you found this helpful, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.